And so we come to part 45 of the Emergency Storage Shed Cleanup series. This is Monday. This episode is for last week. So yes, I've got a little behind. We'll get this one done today. We'll get another one up this week and we'll be back on track. The challenge is something out of that shed every week, and I'm going to stick to it. So if we wander through the shed here to what used to be the main door, where we built the emergency storage shed on the front of it, to deal with a heap of stuff that came from my old shop when I had to move very quickly. We're getting into it quite well. I'm looking forward to getting this set of shelves out of the middle of the room here, and the side ones like this one here is giving me some space to reorganize things. So this has all been processed, reorganized, and allowing me to sort some deals I did just a few months back. The next shelf in there is unknown, lots of unknown stuff right through the middle. I haven't done that shelf there either, so it looks like there's a lot of electronic stuff, old TVs, computers and things. And this little shelf at the front is enabling me to sort out some scrap metal, and it's really nice to have it laid out and labelled so that when I'm sorting, you know, there's no doubt about where things go. As those buckets fill up, I'll put lids on them, stack them somewhere ready for a trip to Melbourne to the scrapyard, and gradually process all the scrap. There's also the old pie warmer there that I'm going to set up for all my, well, some of my spanners and tools, and a pedestal drill, which I'll find a better spot than that for it at some stage, but I can actually use it there. So without any further ado, where are we up to? Well, we're working our way down this shelf. The next box is that black crate there. I don't know what's in it. We have to deal with it. I'm looking forward to the one below it. Looks like there's a bit of household stuff in there. And then a box of antique bottles, and I'm always enjoy looking at those. But the secret to sorting and processing and cleaning up properly is not to cherry pick. This is the next one. Let's do it. No cherry picking and make decisions. That's the secret, I think. This is quite heavy. We have looks like a bottle of coolant on top. Power tools. Ooh, actually something's been leaking. Maybe it's this, because there's fluid in the bottom. So antifreeze coolant, it feels fairly full. I'm not sure if this is what's been leaking. I'm not even, it looks like it is actually. It's quite wet on the back here. I'm not even sure if what's leaking out of it or what is in it is actually what the label says. So we'll check that out. But everything in the box is quite wet. I'm thinking this might be, it's oil. Looks like new oil. So it's probably engine oil, I'm guessing. Smells like engine oil. But we can't be sure. I mean, it certainly looks clean, but I wouldn't like to trust an expensive engine on it. So I think we'll take that to the sump oil recycling facility out at the transfer station. I do drain all the sump oil into plastic bottles and take them out where the oil can be recycled. So this can add to those, but I think we better tip this into another container because I think this one's been leaking. Now that will mean that everything in here, there's certainly quite a little bit of fluid at the bottom, is been drenched in oil, including an old Skillshare drill. These were a good drill, these. It shouldn't necessarily hurt it. In fact, if anything, it's probably stopped it rusting. Definitely oil. All right, so I think we'll give that a bit of a rinse in some petrol, clean it up a little bit. I'll check the cord. Looks like the original cord. A matching orange plug. A little bit of rust on the chuck, but that's probably still a very good drill and worth cleaning up. So we'll give it a clean up, make sure there's no obvious damage, let it dry out properly, and we'll test it and see if we can sell that one. So we'll get to that shortly. Let's see what else is in this tub. Wow, what a mixture. Okay, we have, just how random is this? We have a small tomahawk axe, which is badly chipped, right next to a china plate, Hong Kong. Don't think there's much value in that, but it's not damaged. I think the axe head is probably only scrap metal with that sort of chipping on it. I don't know, we'll clean it up. It does, oh, it's a made in China one, so it's not going to be good steel. It's just about off the handle. The handle's all split, so that's easy. Firewood, scrap metal, easy to deal with that. We have some old bottles in here. These are old penny inks, known as a penny ink. They're small ink bottles. They made them by the millions. They turn up all over the place. They date generally pre-1900, so if you turn up one of these little penny inks, you can be fairly safe in assuming that the rubbish tip is 1890s or earlier. So there's a few of those in here. There's some larger inks, all coated in oil, of course. We better not drop them. That one has a stamp. I think this is possibly Bendigo pottery, but a lot of these were made in England as well. Not quite as old as the penny inks. These were made and used right into the 1900s, almost into, I think, into the 1920s. They can certainly be a lot earlier as well. Most of them are unstamped or unbranded, and the stamp is usually just the pottery stamp. Occasionally you find details on the side of them, but they were an ink bottle, hence there's a pouring spout on the top. Not worth a great deal, but this one's undamaged, no chips, so I'd get at least $10 for that one in the shop. The penny inks, I usually ask $5, and they do sell quite well. They do often have little chipping. It's very hard to get one with no chips at all. They were made fairly crudely, and I guess they were mass-produced. Don't ever really see a pottery stamp on those ones either. Alright, just to add to the mixture, it looks like we have a cake forcing tool here for icing, I think it is. Is it icing? No, I don't think it's icing. I think it's for like making biscuits, because you could have different, oh here we go, different discs to go in the front, and you basically force the mixture out. Is that damaged or missing a part? It doesn't feel like it's complete. So we'll check that out. If it's not operational, scrap metal, most of it's aluminium, but we'll see if it's complete, because we can sell it if it is in usable condition. More kitchen gadgets here. This one is a knife sharpener. Just a series of little rollers there, probably hardened steel, and you slide your knife through there to give the knife an edge. A little bit surface rusty, original painted wooden handle. So it looks to be a bit bent. I don't remember them being quite that angle. Yeah, I think that will just straighten up a bit there. So we'll clean that up a little bit. In good condition, I'd get $10 for that. We'll see how well it cleans up. Plenty of oil here. We have a canister dripping with oil, surface rusty. It's the willow pattern, probably 1970s or so. There's something in it. Let's see what's in it. Oh, the rest of them. So it's a canister set. So it's not going to clean up really that well. There's quite a bit of surface rust, and it's very rusty in the bottom one. We will clean it up because it's good enough to sell, and all I'm going to use is some warm soapy water and some very fine steel wool. I won't scrub too hard because it'll take the pattern off, but it will brighten the pattern a bit. It should take off some of the surface rust. So we'll clean those up, and we'll see how many is in there. There's going to be, I think it's going to be 3 or 4, maybe just 3. Yeah, there's the third one. Now they are, oh, there's no lid. That's a shame. Now they're Willow brand, which is Australian made metalware, quite common from the 50s through into the 70s. So we'll clean those up and see what they look like. Oh, there's the smaller lid. That's good. We'll probably get $10 a set, just depending how well it comes up. We have a Johnnie Walker whiskey water jug, very collectible. Look at the oil dripping off that. Would you like oil with your whiskey? That will probably be Wade, I think. Looks like it is Wade. No, it's Huntley Ware, made in Australia. Okay. Johnnie Walker's collectible. Whiskey water jugs are collectible. We have the rest of these discs that suit the biscuit forcer. That's what they call them, a biscuit forcer. And there's another penny ink in here, and just a bit of garden refuse that's blown in there. These seed pods came from the tree that used to be at the back of the shop, and they turn up everywhere. So okay, that will wash up fine. We have a pair of scissors, very rusty, probably just straight to the scrap metal bin. I don't think they're worth trying to clean. An old knife here with brass fittings, well oiled. I think that's worth cleaning up. It's probably quite a good quality knife. We'll see if we can get some, I might even be able to find a brand on that. We'll clean that one up. This is the top from an old soda siphon. They're normally branded on it. It has got a name there. Oh, Hatchet & Co. So that's one from Matoa, my hometown. I will keep that one. I don't actually have a Hatchet siphon, but sometimes you get them with the wrong top on them, so I will keep that original top. They're made of a die-cast zinc. Probably going to have a bit of value because of the name on it, but I will hang on to that one. Okay, what have we got in here? We have a HRC fuse, which I did a video a while back on getting silver wire out of those. The smaller ones I didn't bother with. I've still got a box of assorted ones in the shop, so that's where that can go. This glass is actually not a glass as such. It's a fuel bowl. What do they call it? A reservoir, I guess, for a fuel pump. On the older cars and sometimes tractors and other engines, this would have had a clamp underneath it holding it to the fuel pump, and it's where you could see if your fuel is getting through, and also if it's got any contaminants in it. So I've sold them before for $5. I think they're probably a standard size. More glassware on the bottom. This is an insulator, probably from the 1920s or 30s. Part of the old wooden stem on it, which will unscrew, soaked in oil. So they actually had thread cut into the wood, but that one's totally rotted away. We can probably put that in our firewood box. Being soaked in oil, it might be a good fire lighter. The insulator itself, it will sell. It might get $5 or so. It looks to have a little bit of a yellowy colour to it. The clear glass ones are pretty hard to sell. Purple ones sell very well, but we'd probably get $5 for that if it cleans up okay. I'm going to have to wipe my bench down after this. Everything's very oily. So we have more penny inks. Quite a few of those. These are in pretty good condition actually, so they're going to be easy $5 each. I'm going to have to use some very soapy water to. I might rinse them in petrol first just to get rid of the bulk of the oil. That one's got a bit of a chip off the top. Okay, what's in the bottom? We have a cigarette lighter with some initials on it. It says Crown on one side. I'm going to certainly wash that up in petrol. That looks in pretty good condition, and it's clearly not rusty. What better way to preserve cigarette lighters than submerge them in oil? Now we have some old shotgun cartridges, unused. Pretty rusty around the primer on that one. It must have obviously happened before the oil dripped on it. We'll wash those up as well. They are collectible, but you need to be licensed to sell ammunition. I've got a few guys that do have licenses to collect firearms, and I often give stuff to them because I don't want it in the shop. I'm not legally allowed to sell it. So there's 5 old shotgun cartridges. I'm not sure what brands. Hubertus, is that a brand? Made in Germany. Now these are plastic cased ones. I actually have found early cardboard cased ones, and they are very collectible. Okay, we have ½ an inch of oil in the bottom of here. So what have we got here? Oh, this is a nameplate of some old machinery. A cast iron nameplate. Was it machinery? Actually, this might have been. I remember digging this up. It's got some hands shaking as a trademark, and it's the United Alkali, and I can't read that, but it's Liverpool, so it's English. But nice old brass and cast iron plaques do get pretty good money these days. They're very collectible. They look great on the wall, and I can actually remember digging this up. It's probably off a large tank or something that came out from England in the early days. So we'll certainly give that a wash up. Alright, what else have we got here? A bracket of something that's probably brass. A slither of something that's broken. That's just a piece of ceramic. We'll put that in the bin. Well, my fingers shouldn't crack today, although if I wash things in petrol, they'll probably dry out and crack. Don't think there's anything else in here. Anything else? Little piece of copper pipe. So we're going to find some scrap metal as well. And there's one tin. The last thing in here is a tin. It's empty. Well, except for oil. And I think it was maybe a cigar tin, maybe a confectionery tin. It's very surface rusty. Nice patterns around the side. It's quite an old one. Oh, Nestle. So it would have been confectionery or chocolates. So it's a fairly early one. Unfortunately, it's got a lot of surface rust. But we'll give that up a clean up as well. I'm sure it will come up to at least $5 worth. So yeah, whoops, lots of oil. Oh, one more shotgun cartridge. And we better drain. Oh, hang on, there's a piece of glass at the bottom. Glass? It's serrated glass, like a washboard. Oh, it's probably out of a washboard. That's what it would be out of, and I think I have a timber washboard frame here. I wonder if it would fit. All right, well, we'll drain that one off. We better drain out the rest of the crate. Oh, do we have something else in here? No, just some twigs. All right, time to wash up some stuff. I'm going to start with some petrol just in a tub here, and I'll just rinse all the oil off these things so they wash up a lot better in the soapy water in the laundry trough. I've been draining the bottle and the crate into a bucket, which I've got a lid for, so that can have the old sump oil, or well, any sort of oil. I've got a bit more to add to it, and we can take that out for recycling at some stage. The petrol I'm using is just, every time I drain an engine fuel tank and put fresh fuel in it, I keep the old fuel because it's really handy for washing things up. You don't necessarily want to go and pay retail price for petrol or gas for some of you, just for washing up. It's fairly volatile. You do need a well ventilated area, and you certainly don't want an ignition source nearby, but it does make a really good solvent for washing things up, and these things won't take much. With everything rinsed down, it's nowhere near as oily. I should be able to wash those up just within warm soapy water now. I've just wiped over the drill casing. I might just take the back of the casing off to make sure it's not soaked in oil inside before we actually plug it in. And I certainly wouldn't plug it in after having a bit of a wash in petrol. Not that I submerged it, I just brushed it over, but still you've got to be careful, as I said, with sparks and volatile fumes. Once I'd finished washing everything, I swished the petrol around, cleaned out my container there because I'll use that for the warm soapy water, and then I tipped it into the crate and gave that a good wash out as well. And by that stage the fuel was getting very gluggy and dirty, so it just drained in with the sump oil, so that can go to the recycling station. I don't like tipping out sump oil in the garden or anywhere around the house. So that can go out to the transfer station next time I'm going out there. I have got a lid to put over that, but I might just leave the lid off it for now, just for any petrol fumes to evaporate off. I did quickly just wipe over this plastic container. It can go in the recycle bin now, in the curbside recycle bin. They don't like oil containers in there, but because this actually wasn't an oil container originally, it should be fine to recycle. And I have made sure that it's had a quick rinse out so there's no oil left in there. I've washed up all the bits, we'll get to them shortly. This is a washboard frame. It's pine, it's an original early piece, and I found this in a shed years ago. Obviously the glass had been broken, and I don't know, in a weak moment I put it aside thinking I might get some of that mini corrugated iron to put in there. I didn't think I'd ever find a glass for it, and lo and behold, the piece we've found, I'm sure, is the exact one for it. So there you go. I'm trying to stop myself keeping things like that. If I turned up something like this now and didn't have a glass, I might put it in the shop for $10. Now that I've got the glass, I can fit it together, and it's quite a valuable piece. So all I need to do here is take this bottom section out. It's just got a couple of little nails in here, piece of dowel that has got a slot in it for the glass. When I say dowel, it's almost as thick as a broom handle, and it is a bit loose, but if I can work those little rusty nails out, we should be able to get enough flex out of the frame to pull that out, slide the glass in, put it back together, punch a couple of older rusty nails back in it, and we've got a complete and very saleable washboard. So I'll do that shortly. I don't need to show you that. This video is going too long as it is. I had a look at the drill. Now, I didn't plug it in. I just removed the cover to have a look for a start, and I noticed a loose wire, and I'm not sure if you can see there, I'm not sure if we're focusing or not, but the brushes are not only worn out, they're totally gone, and the spring has been rubbing on the commutator both sides, so there's no carbon of the brushes left at all. It's actually, there's a couple of spots on the commutator that it's very rough. It must have been making a hell of a racket when it was last being used. I don't have brushes for it. I think it's damaged the commutator a bit much. There's a fair bit of wear in the end bush as well. So I'm going to call that one scrap, even though it looks quite nice on the casing here. I think I'll just put this in with the electric motors. I did take the switch out of it because the switches are saleable. I'll keep that. And also the rubber boot. I always keep the rubber boots if they're in nice soft condition, because it's amazing how often you find something old that the rubber boot's perished or broken off it. So I will use that as well. And the cord, we could just throw the cord into scrap, but it's in good condition. It is the old style one. It doesn't run an earth wire, and it's the old red and black for active and neutral. But I really like the retro orange plug on it. The cord itself doesn't have any nicks in it. I think I'll hang this up because it would suit one of these early orange drills, or maybe a Black & Decker drill. I may need that cord down the track, but certainly we could throw that in the scrap if it gets in my road or I get sick of it. So the drill is going to go in the electric motor bin as scrap, and we'll keep those other bits and pieces. Let's get this washboard together, and then we'll do a tally up and have a look at the notepad. Okay, I may as well film this. I think the nails are going to come out very easily. There wasn't much holding them in, they're only very short. So now that we've got those out, I think we can flex this enough. I don't want to break the frame. There we go. And I think that goes that way. It should slide in. Okay, I think we can slide this in here. It's about the right width. There we go, that's dropped in nicely. Perfect size. So now we've just put this piece, we might put this one in the other way around. Hang on, we'll go back over this side. Yeah, if we put this in the opposite way, then the nails will go into a different part of the timber and they should hold better. A bit more flexing. Ah, there we go, perfect. Got the glass the right way around. I think that's the side it works on. Excellent. All right, we'll just put a couple, actually we can probably put these nails back in. They're going into new timber. I think they'll hold fine. Now I'm not going to hammer the nails because I don't want to risk fracturing the glass. So we'll use some big heavy pliers and we'll just press them home. Okay, there we go, an original glass washboard, and even with the original nails back in, I doubt anyone would ever pick that they weren't originally together. Really happy with that. That's made a $10 frame and a piece of glass into, I think I'll put $75 on that in the shop. It's pretty hard to find these old washboards now. So 75 bucks there. So I'll value the glass at about 30 for the sake of our list. I guess if I was going to put a piece of washboard glass in the shop, there's no sense making it cheap, because if you find someone that wants a piece, where else are they going to find it? You know, $30 is nothing, I guess, if you want to fix up a washboard and turn it into a $75 or $80 piece. And I think that's cheap enough to sell fast. Very happy with that. And a bonus item out of my shed. Okay, let's wrap things up here now. We've talked about the drill. I think I went $5 on the Hong Kong plate. It cleaned up very nice. All the ink bottles cleaned up well, as you can see, and the insulator and the fuel bowl. The kitchen knife sharpener cleaned up pretty good. I went for $10 on that. This little knife's a really nice one. I just cleaned it up with some steel wool. I didn't want to put it on the wire wheel because it would have made the brass unnaturally shiny. I couldn't find a mark on the blade. It's a little bit pitted, so maybe there was a mark there. But I'm going to put, I think I put $25 on that. I think it's a really nice little knife. And I do get people who are in the shop that like to collect those sort of things. This tin cleaned up quite well. How about that? You couldn't even see the pattern on top before. And that's just with steel wool, fine steel wool. So that's quite a nice piece. I think I went for $10 on that. I could probably even go 15 actually. It looks good. The lighter, I think I just put 10 on it. It's missing the bottom bung. Oh, a little bit of oil's leaked out, so it had oil inside it. And there's no flint, and it wouldn't spark anyway with all the oil in there. But I think $10, I'm clearly going to have to wash that up a bit better. But $10 on the cigarette lighter. The canisters cleaned up very well. Again, just fine steel wool, but they all washed up pretty well. A little bit faded in the bottom. And the larger one was the rustiest, and you can see by the time I cleaned it up, it did lose some of the pattern. But I went for $15 on those. That should sell pretty easily. The Johnnie Walker whiskey jug cleaned up really nicely. I think I went 30 on that. Now this biscuit forcer does work. It ratchets quite nicely. I can't do this one hand, but yeah, it works fine. I think I was imagining like the corking gun where you actually have a double handle, whereas this, I don't think it's missing anything, so we'll go 10 on that. The cast iron plaque cleaned up beautifully. How's that? So all that is a scrub with a wire brush and soapy water, and then some like a Stilo type stainless steel scouring pad. Come up great. I don't like painting these things black. I reckon that looks amazing just as it is. And I think they're pretty rare. I'm going to put $60 on that in the shop, and I would expect it to sell pretty easily. A few bits of scrap. That was brass, as you can see by the bit I filed. Piece of copper pipe, which is very pink, as you can see. Some steel, some firewood, a fire lighter. I'm keeping the soda siphon top. I'll give those shotgun cartridges away to some people I know that collect ammunition and firearms. There we go. Let's get the list out. Who would have thought that we'll crack $200? In fact, $265 I added up. So that's not bad out of one little crate, which was pretty much an oily mess. And I think a lot of people, had they unpacked that crate from a shed, would have just looked at it and gone, "Ugh, what a mess," and tipped a whole lot in the skip. You know, perhaps if they spotted this, they would have pulled it out because it's easy enough to wash that up. I don't think a lot of people would have bothered washing up anything else. They would have seen rust on the tins. Perhaps they might have saved a few of the bottles. I doubt anyone would have noticed there was a piece of glass in the bottom. I didn't notice until the end. So there we go, $265 and another crate emptied from my shed. So thanks for watching this episode, guys. A bit of a mystery box, this one, and very messy. And I have to admit, it did take me quite a while to clean things up. I basically had to wash them twice in petrol, then in soapy water, and a little bit of extra cleaning on some of it. So it's a bit involved, but not bad, $265. And that takes our total to about 7,600 and something. I think 7,675, something like that. Pretty good total. Well, I've got a lot to go through yet. I hope you're still enjoying these. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.